Hello friends. So in the previous video we have started our discussion, or we discussed a lot about the n-type material, right? One point which I forgot to mention in that video is about the electrical neutrality of n-type material. So if you see the video where we had this type of arrangement here, you saw that there is a free electron. See, even though there is a free electron, ultimately associated with the phosphorus atom, the number of electrons which is associated with the atom and the number of protons are always the same. So that is not going to change. Therefore, the electrical neutrality of the intrinsic material is always neutral. Okay, it's always maintained. It is not having a net positive charge or a net negative charge. So the n-type material is always electrically neutral. This is a very important point actually. Why it is electrically neutral? Because ultimately the number of protons will be equal to the number of electrons. Okay, so that is the basic idea here. So now we will discuss something which is called another type of extrinsic material, which is called the p-type material. So how are p-type materials formed? So the p-type materials are formed by doping an intrinsic germanium, intrinsic silicon or germanium with elements. So for n-type material, what was the element that you had used? It was pentavalent impurities, right? So here what you are going to do, you are doping the intrinsic silicon or germanium with elements having 3 valence electrons. Okay, so for n-type it was 5 valence electrons, and such impurities, some elements are called trivalent because they are having 3 electrons in their valence orbit. So what are the examples? The examples are boron, gallium, indium. These are the commonly available materials which you find in the literature. Okay. So how does this work actually? So you know that this is the basic intrinsic silicon which is highly pure, and you are having the 4 covalent bonds. And now you are introducing the trivalent impurities into this crystal structure. So if you look at the crystal structure, how it will change. So here you are having the silicon. So this silicon atom, for example, let us take this silicon atom here, and that is going to replace by a trivalent impurity, right? So this is 1, 2, 3, and this 4th electron will not be there. There are only 3 valence electrons. So when boron is replaced here, when a material like boron is replaced, you are having 1, 2 and 3. Okay. So you are having 1 bond here, 1 bond here and 1 bond here. But here you are not having an electron to complete that bond. So we tell that here there is a vacancy, and this vacancy is actually called a hole here. Okay. So what happens is that there is insufficient electrons. There is insufficient electrons to complete the what bond? To complete the covalent bond. To complete the covalent bond. Okay. And what is this vacancy called? This vacancy is called a hole. This vacancy is called what? This vacancy is called a hole. That is very important. Okay. And what is the property of this hole? See, a neighboring electron actually can break its bond and easily accept and come and fill this vacancy. This we will see when we are discussing electron and hole flow. But just understand that because of this formation of this vacancy here, it is very easy for electrons to break from a covalent bond to which it is part of and come and occupy this position. Okay. So this vacancy readily accepts an electron. So boron, when you are introducing an element like boron, it is like introducing something which is accepting things, right? When you are introducing pentavalent impurities like phosphorus, it is actually donating free electron. Here you are creating a condition where it will accept electrons, not donate electrons. Therefore, such impurities, atoms which are part of such impurities are called acceptor atoms. There it was donor atoms. This is called acceptor atoms. Okay. So we can call like this the diffused impurities. The diffused impurities with 3 valence electrons valence electrons are called acceptor atoms. Acceptor atoms. This is also a very important term here. All these things you might have already learned, but why I am taking this once again is so that when you are looking at this power electronics course, you come to a same level. We all come to the same level in understanding the future explanation, future topics. So the diffuse impurity with 3 valence electrons are called acceptor atoms. So I hope I am also clear here. So with the same reasons of why an n-type material is neutral, similarly p-type material is also neutral. So p-type material is also electrically neutral. Electrically neutral. Okay. So n-type material is also electrically neutral. P-type material is also electrically neutral. Okay. Now let us see what is the effect of the hole in conduction. Okay. So effect of hole on conduction. That is, what makes there a conduction in when you are introducing a p-type material. So here we are having a p-type material. So you can see that there is an intrinsic silicon you have doped with boron here. Okay. So what happens here actually is that, for example, this is the hole. Remember that this is the hole. Okay. So this is 1 electron, 2 electrons, 3 valence electrons, and here is the hole. Now I told you this hole can readily accept electrons. Okay. You will see that why it is like that when we see the energy band gap diagram. Okay. Just for the time being, understand that this can readily accept electron. So this electron, for example, let us take this electron, let us call it as 1. This electron will readily break this covalent bond. It can easily break this covalent bond, and with a little amount of energy it can go and occupy this level. It can occupy this hole. Okay. So when this electron goes and occupies this position here, what happens? A hole is created in this particular position, right? So if you just visualize it once again. So what I am telling is that this electron breaks this bond and it occupies this particular position here. So what happens is that this electron will leave its position and it will occupy this position here. So what happens to the hole? The hole is created here and the electron has moved to this position. So the electron has moved from left to right. The electron has moved from left. So this is the electron 1, right? The electron 1. The electron 1 has moved from left to right, whereas the hole has moved from right to left. So the hole has moved from right to left. So if you write it like this, so this is the electron movement. This is the electron movement from left to right, and this is the hole movement. This is the hole movement. Okay. So you can see initially the hole was here. Now it has moved to this position. Now what will happen? For example, there might be electron here. So that electron will come and occupy this, and that hole will move in this position. So once an electron leaves, there will be a hole created. So this electron goes and occupies this position, and then what happens? A hole is created in this position. The hole is created in this position. Okay. So that is the basic idea here. Okay. So you can see I have written here that this is the electron movement and this is the hole movement here. Now there is an important concept that you have to see with respect to the energy band diagram. So this is the energy band diagram that you are going to see. So this is the energy, okay, and you know that the nucleus position will be somewhere down here. Okay, so as you move away from the nucleus, more energy is associated with the electron. So this is your conduction band and this is your valence band. Okay, so when you were having an n-type material, there was another level which was called the donor level, which was created close to the conduction band. Here what happens is that in a p-type material, another level is created, but that is called an acceptor level. Another level is created which is called an acceptor level, and that is closer to the valence band. And so this energy is very less. So what happens here is that, just like we saw here, this we have seen in the crystal structure. Here we can see that same phenomenon in the valence band also, in the band structure. For example, this is the valence band and there are some electrons associated here. There are some electrons which are associated here. Now, because of this acceptor level which is created, the electron can gain a little amount of energy and it can go and occupy this position. It will occupy this position. Therefore, once an electron occupies that particular position, what happens here? A hole is created. in this level a hole is created, right? Hole is created in this level, and once a hole is created, you know, I already told you, the electron can easily occupy that particular level here. Okay, so once a hole is created, you know that another electron can occupy that hole. So even though the electrons are moving, occupying different position, we tell it as if the hole is moving. Okay, so you can see that, which we have explained here. So this was the electron movement and this was the hole movement, and this will happen throughout the crystal. Now we are just showing for a few things here. See, for example, this electron can occupy here, so it can keep on happening, and this will happen throughout the crystal. So this acceptor level is created in the p-type material. Okay, and in the n-type material, what was created? A donor level was created. Okay, so it is very easy for electrons to occupy this acceptor level. Okay, that is the basic idea. Now, because we have now understood a little bit about the p-type and n-type materials, now we can start with the concept of the majority and minority carriers. Majority and minority carriers. In the intrinsic material, this type of concept is not there. The majority and minority carrier concepts comes in extrinsic type of materials. Now, you know that in a simple silicon structure, in a simple silicon intrinsic material, due to the gain in thermal energy or light energy, some electrons will leave from their valence band and go into the conduction band. And whenever an electron is leaving its atomic structure, there will be a hole created, right? For example, you are having a silicon structure here. Okay, so let us take the p-type impurity itself. It's not a big deal. For example, let us take the silicon structure. Just forget the boron for the time being. This electron can break from its covalent bond by taking some energy in, and that once that becomes a free electron, it is leaving a void. It is leaving a void, and that is a hole, right? That is a hole which is being created. Now this phenomenon will happen in the p-type material also and in n-type material also. That is, the creation of electron and hole combinations, will happen in n-type and p-type material also. It is not that just because it's an n-type material, only free electron concepts are provided by the pentavalent impurities, or holes are only being provided by the trivalent impurities. By this natural process also this will happen, and usually this process is only temperature dependent. So in an n-type material, there is creation of electrons and holes. Indirectly, what I am trying to say, there is creation of holes in n-type material also. Okay, there is creation of holes in n-type material. Because ultimately, what is an n-type material? It is just an intrinsic material which is doped. So the hole creation will always be there by natural process. Okay, by just absorbing some energy. But in an n-type material, you know, there are free electrons which are provided by the donor atoms. Okay, there are free electrons which are provided by the donor atoms. Therefore, in an n-type material, the number of free electrons will be much higher than the holes which are available. Okay, because holes are created by a natural process. But when you are putting a pentavalent impurity, it is not creating any hole. It is naturally providing you with free electrons. Because that we have seen, every donor atom will provide a free electron. But there are holes which are created due to the natural process also. But so what I am trying to tell here is that the amount of holes doesn't change much, because it is naturally produced by the absorption of thermal energy or light energy, Okay, but what do you have? But there is a huge change. There is a huge change in the amount of free electrons. Who is providing this excess free electrons? It is provided by the pentavalent impurities. There is a huge change in the amount of free electrons provided by the donor atoms. Therefore, we can say that in the n-type material, the majority carriers are free electrons, and the minority carriers Minority carriers are holes. The minority carriers are electrons. Okay, sorry, the minority carriers are holes. Similarly, in a p-type material, okay, in a p-type material also free electrons will be produced by the natural process, right? Natural process also free electrons will be produced, but there is a huge amount of holes which are provided by the acceptor atoms. Okay, so therefore, in a p-type material, the majority carriers are the holes, because these holes are given by the acceptor atoms. They are externally provided, and the minority carriers which are naturally produced, minority carriers are the electrons. Minority carriers are the electrons here. Okay, so this I hope you are understanding. So in n-type material, majority carrier electrons, minority carriers are the holes. In a p-type material, majority carriers are the holes, and the minority carriers are electrons here. Okay, now the next concept. See, in a when you are having a n-type material, so I told you the electron, the fifth electron will be loosely bound to the atom. Okay, it will be loosely bound to the atom. But if you give some external energy and it breaks away from the atomic structure and it can freely move through the crystal, it is now it is not associated with that particular atom. Okay, so that atom has lost that electron. Because that atom has now lost that electron, it will gain a net positive charge. Now don't mistake that the total the extrinsic material will become charged. No, we are talking about specific atoms here. Okay, so when the fifth electron leaves a donor atom, how it will leave a donor atom? When you provide it with additional, I told you the fifth electron is loosely bound. It is very easy for it to break the bond and move to the conduction band. That's what I have told you. You saw it, right? So this is the conduction band, and this is the valence band, and this is the donor level. So in the donor level you are having free electron. If an electron jumps to the conduction band, it has now left the atom structure. It has left the parent atom, or it has left the donor atom. Now, because that donor atom has lost an electron, it will be represented as a positive charge. Okay, so when the fifth electron leaves a donor atom, it acquires a net positive charge. This is also a very important concept. Similarly, when in a p-type material, naturally what is the condition? This is the valence band, this is the conduction band, and this is the acceptor level, right? This is the acceptor level. Now, whenever an additional electron comes and joins the atomic structure, okay, so if an electron from the valence band is jumping to this acceptor level, an additional electron has come. It is not natural, additional electron has come. Now the atom will have a negative charge, a net negative, just like because of the loss of the electron, the atom got a positive charge in n-type material. In p-type material, due to the addition of the electron, see how the electron is added. See, where is that? Yeah, this electron, for example, this electron has moved from this atom to this atom. This electron has moved from this atom to this atom. No? So this will now acquire a net negative charge. This will acquire a net negative charge because it has gained another electron, which was not part of its natural atomic structure, right? So in a p-type material, the acceptor atom acquires a net negative charge, and I have told you this usually will happen in room temperature because that acceptor level energy to gain that it's very less. Similarly, the electron to become a free electron in case of n-type material is also very less. Okay, that is why I told you the increase in carrier concentration was 10⁵ Remember, I told you right that there are a lot of free electrons available. So now, if you summarize all these things in a simple diagram, we can just draw an n-type material now. Okay, so for example, this is your n-type material. N is in small letters. So n-type material. So in n-type material, you are having a majority carrier and minority carrier. So that you will write. So majority carrier and minority carrier. What are the majority carriers? It is electron. What is the minority carriers? These are holes. Okay, so we will just represent the electrons as some dots here. So you have lot of majority carriers, right? Lot of majority carriers. Okay, and minority carriers we will represent it as holes. So I'll just put 3 here. I'll put it in a different color also. Minority carriers are the holes. And then what I told you, the donor atoms are electrically in n-type materials, the atom is electrically positive charge. So we will represent it by positive charge. Okay. So for every electron, free electron, you will have a positive charge, right? Positive, because every electron, every atom will provide a free electron. So you can just draw the same number. Okay. So what is this? This is the donor atom. This is the donor atom. And what is this? This is the free electron, which are the majority carriers in n-type material. Okay. And what is this? This is the minority carriers. Minority carriers, or these are the holes. Okay. Now let us draw a p-type material. Yeah, we have drawn the p-type material. In p-type material, what is the majority carriers? In p-type material, the majority carriers is the holes. What is the minority carriers? Minority carriers are the electrons. And what is the charge associated with the acceptor atom? Acceptor atom charge. Acceptor atom charge in a p-type material is negative. Why it is negative? Because it is accepting an electron. Okay. So we will draw holes. Majority carriers are holes. So we will draw a lot of holes here. These are just schematic representations. Okay. The actual structure will be this is just for easy understanding. And then you are having your electrons. So minority carriers are electrons. So we will just draw a few. And the acceptor ions. What is the acceptor ions charge? It is negative charge. Negative, negative, negative. So many negative charges. Okay. So what are these? These are acceptor atoms. These are acceptor atoms, and these are the majority carriers. Majority carriers. And which is the majority carriers in p-type material? Holes are the majority carriers. And in these are the minority carriers. Minority carriers. And which is the minority carriers? Electrons are the minority carriers, right? So today we have learnt an important concept associated with p-type material. So p-type material, you are having trivalent impurities, right? And I told you, because of the introduction of trivalent impurities, you are introducing a hole, a vacancy in the system. And that vacancy is actually creating another energy level, which is called acceptor energy level, right? In the energy band diagram. So electrons can easily occupy that acceptor energy level. And once electrons start occupying, it will create another hole. So another electron will occupy. So that way, it will look like the hole is moving in one direction and the electron is moving in the other direction. But in generally convention, we tell that in p-type material, holes are the majority carriers, electrons are the minority carriers. In n-type materials, electrons are the majority carriers and holes are the minority carriers. I have told you, extrinsic n-type material, extrinsic p-type material are electrically neutral. There is no doubt about that. But when in an n-type material, when an electron leaves a parent atom to be part of the conduction process, the donor atom acquires a net positive charge because it has just lost an electron. Similarly, in p-type material, when the electron comes and bonds with the acceptor level, which is available now, the atom actually gains an electron. Therefore, you tell that it is having a negative charge. It has a net negative charge. This concept is very important when we study the p-n junction diode actually. So, in the next video, we will start with the p-n junction. What is the concept of the p-n junction in a very simple manner, not using a lot of equations, because that is not required for the power electronic course. We are not doing an analog electronics course. You are studying power electron, and we are going to discuss just the basic idea what you need to understand a power electronics course. Okay. So till I see you in the next video, it's me Varun signing off, and have a great day. Thank you. Now that the video is over, please stay with me for 30 more seconds. Now the vision of this channel is to create a repository of good quality videos with crystal clear explanation regarding various topics related to electrical engineering. Now if you want to help me spread the word, please share this video with anyone interested in these topics. The second thing is that for me, education is a two-way process. Therefore, if you have any doubts or suggestions regarding any of the videos or regarding the channel, please put them in the comments below. We can have a healthy discussion, and that way we can build a strong community of electrical engineers. So that's it for today's video. So till I see you in the next time, it's me Varun signing off, and have a great day. Thank you.